Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching another installment of our How to Build the Best Necks You Possibly Can series of videos. In the last two videos, we got everything dimensioned and got everything ready for headstock angle and frets and stuff like that. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how we do the headstock angle, how we glue up the fretboards, and how we do fret slots. And I think, I'm even going to show you how we do the binding channel. Now, not a lot of people are watching the subsequent videos. We had a handful of people watch the first one, and then it gets less and less and less, which I knew was going to happen. So I think I'm going to need to wrap this series up. This might be the last one, or maybe we'll do one more. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'd like to get a bunch of questions about necks kind of sorted out, and maybe we'll do one more. I think we'll probably do one more. Anyway. So the necks are ready to go to the next step, which are headstock angles. We do that on the jet pin router. I have a custom-made sign plate that holds the necks at 7 degrees, and you're about to see that now. One thing I want to show you guys though is I rather than draw the angle out and cut it out, I actually grind away part of it with the pin router, then pull it off the sled, take it over to the bandsaw, cut on the line that I just made, and then bring it back over to here and finish up the cut. So, you want to check it out? Let's go check it out now. Of course, the next thing we have to do is drill the holes for the tuners, and we're going to use the exact same sled that we used to to put the headstock angle on. That way, it holds it exactly level with our drill press table, so we can go ahead and drill the holes at exactly the right pitch using the exact same sled. Now it's time to glue the fretboards on. And we used to do this a little differently. We used to cut the fret slots first and then put little index pins and little toothpicks. We call them tone pins, and we get everything lined up. We found a much better way to do that. We're getting to that. So what we actually do now is we take our fretboards and just glue them onto the necks. We don't have any slots in them. We glue them on, and we want to put some tape over the truss rod. And we also want to put a little bit of tape here, because what you guys will see is when we put this on, the fretboard will actually overhang the neck, and we'll cut that nut slot, the 0 fret, if you will. We'll cut that off at the same time we do all the other fret slots. And that's going to be cool. Look, this guitar only has 17 frets. All right, let me show you what the radical taping process looks like. Oh, one other thing. When it comes time to put the glue on, I have discontinued using fingers and squeegees and stuff like that. In fact, I don't even use a weenie roller anymore. Now I use a different kind of weenie roller. These are ink rollers. They're not called roller, well, I mean, they're rollers, but they're not called ink rollers. They're called something else. And these came from like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something, but they're for ink. And if you look up like at Hobby Lobby, like roller, maybe I'll leave an Amazon link to these guys. So I got a couple different ones. They both work great. The thing I have to constantly remind myself is that if I don't wash them off, I have to buy them again, but they last and last and last, and they work great for glue. So let's get rolling. Chris and I have discovered that there is nothing better for clamping guitar stuff than this this hydraulic bottle jack rig that we got at Harbor Freight. You could get a nicer one, you could get a better one, you could get a more expensive one, but the way we've got this set up, we glue tops to bodies, we glue fretboards to necks. Anything that we can do in this rig, we do, because it applies super heavy, super constant, super even pressure. This tool is becoming more and more invaluable in the shop. If you guys don't have one and you don't have a bunch of other clamps and you're thinking, I'm going to get a bunch of other clamps, get one of these, spend the same money on one of these you would for 100 goofball clamps. You should have 100 goofball clamps too, but this thing, super cool. Here's the hand question. See what the left slide. Okay. All right, it is the next day and our necks are out of the glue jig. Now what I'm gonna have to do, what I'm gonna get to do, is cut all this excess stuff off with the bandsaw and then clean it up on the table router. Now that we've got our fretboards trimmed out, I'm actually going to route for the binding channel. I'm going to use my pin router. I'm sure you guys realize you could do this on your table router just as easy because the fretboard is still flat. Now, at some point, someone's going to ask, when are you going to cut the fret slots? And that's a great question. So if you were thinking that, good question. We're going to route for the binding channel first because anywhere where there is a line, a cut, there's a possibility that we can get a chip out. So if I don't have any of those cuts, no sweat. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my binding channel passes now. Then we're going to cut the fret slots. Okay? So again, I'm going to be doing it on my pin router. I'm actually going to do it in a couple passes. I'm going to do them all like halfway down and then do them all the rest of the way down. And the reason for that is, again, I want to have the least amount of chipping I possibly can on each fretboard. So since they're all the same, I'll go ahead and do them all at the same time, kind of like all the other things we've been doing. So, and at that point, we'll go ahead and go over to the fret slotting saw and we'll cut some fret slots. And again, you could do this just as easily on your table router, but the bit's already chucked up into my pin router, so I'm just going to do it. Okay? The other thing is, this is still flat on this side, so I can just drag this over my my table on my pin router, and it's just as good as going this way on the router table. But it's the same exact thing because the bearing is going to do the work. Okay, that's for the guy who said, "I'm going to show you how to do it. Now take out your pin router." It's not my fault you guys don't have a pin router. Tell Norm Abrams that he didn't use tools you had. See what he said. All right, we've got all the binding channels are cut and everything's ready to move to the next step, which is cutting the fret slots. Now we used to do this a little differently, but so if you've seen in one of the old videos where we cut the fret slots first, we don't do it like that anymore. We came up with a way that we think is superior. And as a matter of fact, we know it's superior. We don't even just think it, we know it. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the fret slots now. And the way we're gonna do that, remember those holes on the back of the necks? They now are filled with, let me see if we can get it in there, these little pins here. And they are going to index on the holes that I cut in this StewMac template. Now, the pin locations actually came from Steve at Maximum Guitar Works, as you already know. And you can order this kind of fret slotting guide from Steve, and we have one, works great, but our radial arm saw is set up with a very small pin. I just haven't gotten around to switching it out yet. So one day we might do that, but what I've done sort of as a stopgap measure, and it's working great, is I just drilled some holes in my StewMac template here, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to put it on here. So everything's ready. I got a few pieces of double stick tape, not because I think it needs it, but because I believe in being thorough. So you can imagine how bummed out I would be if after all this work I didn't have it started shifting around. So see, it's just going to go on there like this. So there's a little pin right here that indexes off of these holes here, and it just locks in place. So all that's left to do is cut them all. All right, so now all the fret slots are done. The only real way this could have gone a whole lot faster is if we had a saw that had 24 blades on it. So this is looking really good, and it's ready for inlay. But that's a video for another day. Some of you guys might remember the piece of orange tape that I put going this way across the fretboard or the neck before we glued it. So that kind of makes life a little easier when it comes to busting all of this stuff off. Of course, I say that and then watch this one. This one won't work. There we go. So yeah, looks pretty good. I always like to chase it with a little file. Get in the extra glue bits off, so that looks pretty terrific. Let's do another one, see if we can get it exactly to come off in one big hunk here. There we go. That's what I want to see. So yeah, that's the way they should come off. And you know, it doesn't always work the way you want it to, but that one worked awesome. All right, guys, so that's how we do everything in this video. I have been using this radial arm saw for fret slots for a long time, and we've come up with a bunch of different cool ways. I tell you what, these pins that Steve has on his template systems, absolutely worth it to get the slots on the fretboard exactly perfect every time. Now you could absolutely put the holes in the fretboard and the holes in the neck and put the pins in there and line them up that way, but we found that this is just easier to just pop the pins on there and then cut the slots on the board. That way you don't have any mishaps with shifting, shimmying, glue and stuff like that. So guys, if you have any questions about what we did in this video, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up, and if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button and help us grow our channel. If you appreciate what we do here at Texas Toast Guitars, I urge you to go over to Patreon and consider becoming a member, or you can join on YouTube too. There's a little join button here on the video. You can join us, and even $1 a month goes a long way to helping us bring you guys neat stuff like this. But if you can't do Patreon or YouTube membership, we still have lots of videos that are available with no paywall, and feel free to watch those as many places and share them as many places as you can. Help us grow the channel that way. However, if you do decide to be a YouTube or Patreon member, we do have exclusive video content there too. But again, no harm, no foul if you don't want to join. Just hang out with us and hang out with us on Thursday and Friday for the live streams too. That's always a lot of fun. So, guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope you have a great weekend. Until next time, this is Matt at Texas Toast, reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.